Well, look what time it is. It's time for that boom bap breakfast right here on Black Power Media. This is the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and let me introduce you to your host. We got no other than Dr. Jared Ball. And burn it down, Kim Brown. And Jackie Luma. And Kamau K.
I love it. What's up, good people?
House today. It's a full house.
Hey.
Today, nobody. Today, full house.
You tell it.
It's extremes on BPM. It's extremes. It's all or nothing around here.
On that extreme CP time over here.
You know, no compromise, no retreat, as some folks around here say. You know what I'm saying?
I did make it yesterday, just for the record.
He did.
It was about 12 minutes after the show started, but I was
Well, that would have
ready
been
to go.
But I'm glad to see.
Than I would have made it.
I'm glad to see that Kamau and Jackie are here together, because I just want to say very quickly that Jackie now gets the latest Kamau award for not shouting out BPM on the microphone.
Jackie.
So congratulations, Jackie.
We didn't do that, Jackie.
You are the latest recipient of thank you.
What was she on?
At the rally Saturday.
Wow.
As every organization gets a shout out. Every Jackie affiliated organization, me and my baby girls is in the audience. And even they were like, Daddy.
Jackie shouted out her Girl Scout troop. She shouted out the church choir.
I want to thank my third grade teacher, Miss Thomas.
She's like, am I missing anybody? No.
Not a person.
Not nobody.
Not an entity.
I didn't shout my church out either, so.
Good reverend.
Don't do us like that, Jackie. You got to know us in public too. You got to know who we are. You got to acknowledge us that you know us in public also.
I am sorry, but
you get 30 shillings to say you ain't know us. Wow.
Shillings.
But I apologize, but I will come clean. I didn't even know what I was gonna say before I got up there. I knew that I was going to speak. I had no idea what I was going to say. And then, the spirit overtook me, and I didn't. I'm sorry. I apologize.
The content,
I'll do better.
The content was dope. You did, you killed it on the mic. That just made it that much more painful. But other than that, so you did a wonderful job. Of course.
I still have people when they do my intros, they go like community movement builders and host of the podcast Renegade Culture. I was like, God damn, I got to update that. Where y'all found that?
I'm the only one. I'm the only one that puts it front and center in the bio.
I'll do better. I will do better next time.
Yeah.
Big up.
Now, can I also share another bit of really good news? Can I? Because selfishly, I'm killing it in 2023. Nobody else is winning. Nobody else is winning. Just by myself.
That's right.
And it's because,
bang your chest.
But let's be clear. It's because roughly 19 years or so ago, I made the right choice of allowing a woman to make me the right choice for her. And in so doing, my life has only been getting better and better and better, including what she pulled off for me most recently. And I don't know if folks can see what this says here, but this is what my student loan. This is my student loan balance.
Zeros. Congratulations.
Zeros. She did all the work and handed me stuff and said, sign this, take this to this office, get this. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. She said, go to Morgan State, go to this office, have him do this, sign this, do this, hand me this, be quiet and put your name on this. Go take over there.
Bob this.
And look how it worked out for you. Look at you following instructions to the letter. And look at your life shining right now. Fellas, the rest of y'all hetero lonelies out here, y'all need to be taking notes.
Hetero lonely. Congratulations, Mrs. Ball.
Woo, Mrs. Ball, put in the work.
I'm stuck on hetero lonelies. Wait a minute.
Hetero lonelies.
Because there's some hetero lonelies and just a couple. It's not many. It's a couple.
Like the ear doctor?
When y'all, no, I'm not talking about the ear doctor. When y'all start praising your wives, some little chirp, somebody will chirp in the chat, talk about, oh, they henpecked and da da da. I'm like, look at how happy these brothers are. Do you see how they are shining? Do you not recognize the light coming off of their lives because of their wives?
Kamau, we can't really tell because you're light as it.
Oh, damn.
Oh,
I mean,
that's messed up.
Blackout.
I'm sorry.
I love that. Yes, we will take all the opportunities to make the light skin jokes, Jacqueline.
I'm sorry.
That's shameful.
These are the only people I will ever make such a joke to.
It's terrible.
There's no malice whatsoever. It's all love.
It's all good. I'm just adding my chapter, my tragic mulatto chapter in my memoir just keeps getting longer and longer. That's all. That's it. That's just
a whole chapter full of all the jokes been made. That's a word.
The rest of the book is like this.
Yeah.
Like, God damn, the longest chapter ever. But yeah. Nah, man. I mean, straight up, we got called with Brother Diallo the other day. We got called gynocentric.
Gynocentric?
What?
Yeah.
Gynocentric?
Yeah, like we real gynos, like women centered or centering our femininity or whatever they meant by it. I'm like, hell yeah. My whole universe is centered around women and let it keep happening. It's the only thing keeping me safe out here. Like
they don't recognize it, Jared.
That one too.
Gynocentric,
hetero lonely. I gotta write these down.
I made that one up. The hetero lonely. That came off the dome. But gynocentric, what the hell?
Now, initially, it was supposed to be an insult. I think it was meant to say that. But I'm like, what is the issue?
You can't be like women. You can't be like bitches because bitches ain't shipper hoes and tricks. You know what I'm saying?
But I mean, I do feel like women have been the center of my attention and focus since roughly about the 3rd grade. I think that's when it took over, and it's been that way ever since. So I'm like, what's the problem? And it was only it's only when you let go and let wife that things get better. It's just
and let wife. I like
let wife, let go and let wife.
Let wife.
Y'all hear this testimony that Dr. Jared Ball is giving y'all right now?
You. Come on now. Save yourselves.
Save yourselves. Zero right now.
Hey, that paperwork came in. It's surreal because I was like, that joint is never going away. And I'm showing you the zeros. Yeah, I mean,
that's a big deal. What does that feel like in terms of your stress level? Like we kind of know the ever-present burden of debt. You know, it's always back there, right? It just got an elbow on the back of your neck. But now that you've got these balances down to zero, like what does that feel like for your mental health?
I honestly, it hasn't even settled in yet. I don't know yet. The first thought was, like our children have like more of a chance now, like, because this is just less that we have to worry about not providing for them and keeping them from these same conditions. That was the first thought, but I don't even really know yet. I mean, it's kind of, I'm like checking, like, is this real? We were like double checking, triple checking, reading the fine print, like waiting for the psych at the end of the paper. Like, like you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm waiting. Like, we was just playing. In fact, it's double now.
Double, right?
Double. Like, don't worry about it. We're going to get your kids on it sooner or later.
Right. I mean, it's like, it is hard to, and then the other part of it is, and this I'll save for another day because I don't want to totally get upset. We haven't settled it yet. But the other thing is, on the flip side, is the healthcare industry and its treatment of my mother and elders in general is currently making it hard to enjoy much right now, to be honest. But I'm fronting for the remix. I'm really in a rage. But so that part, but it'll settle in. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a moment when it really sinks in, like that debt's not there anymore, and it's going to be, sweet. But anyway, so
yeah, nice. That's nice.
Yeah,
I feel you on the healthcare. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kamau.
Oh no, I was just going to say I treat mine like it's not there all the time. So
That's
Ignore
how
it.
most of us do.
Yes.
it hasn't gone anywhere. I just treat it like it's not there.
I kept
Ignore
trying. It kept finding me. It was knocking on the door, kicking the walls down, like I'm here, motherfucker. Like the Kool-Aid jar. Ah! You're dead.
I stop it in the chest and then I keep running until I get to the next spot.
Right.
It takes
I
me
hear
3
you.
million years to catch up. Like, you here again? Ah, and then run.
I hear you.
No, I
Yeah,
feel
no.
you on the stress with the healthcare, because I mean I have really good health insurance. Look, Sputnik, they taking care of folks. Putin be paying the hell out of this mortgage. You understand? Putin
All
be paying the
praise
hell out of
Putin.
these healthcare, these medical bills. So you see if you pay attention, you look at your explanation of benefits on, and I looked since January. This is how I know that, people who have kidney disease, this is why more poor people, Black people, Latinx people get pushed into dialysis centers, because the kind of treatment that I got to learn how to do dialysis at home, to always have to go to the center for, follow-ups and supplies and all this kind of stuff, since January I've had over $100,000 in medical care since January of
Damn.
this year. And that is including the 2 surgeries on the considered minor surgeries. But the training for learning how to do dialysis at home itself last year was like 85 grand.
Damn.
God
So
damn.
because I met the deductible and the out of pocket like in a week, right? So the insurance covered all of that, but it's like when I look at that, I realize, oh, this is why more of our people get pushed into dialysis centers, because they can't afford this kind of care. Most people don't have the kind of insurance that will cover that kind of care. And most people don't know that you can actually qualify for Medicare for the period of time that you are on dialysis to cover the expenses that your health insurance won't cover. Do they tell you that? Do all of the people who are running these dialysis centers tell people that? No. So folks don't even know that they have options, because it's just easier and more cost effective for this for-profit health industry to push people into situations where they are getting paid, the providers are getting paid as much money as they can, as fast as they can. And it just blew my mind. And it was weird, because it's like I realized this when I'm looking at my explanation of benefits, and I'm like, damn, that's fucking what? How much?
Yeah.
And I couldn't even be happy about it, right? I couldn't even be like, oh, I'm so thankful I have mine. No, I'm pissed off, because I realize most of our people don't have it like this.
Right.
I shouldn't be thankful about it. I should be angry, and I should be like, how do we change this? I have no idea how to change this, but we have to, because our people are dying in these dialysis centers. It's just they rob you of your time, they rob you of your life. People die earlier than they should, and when something like COVID happens, people can more easily contract an infection that makes their what happened with COVID, people, there was this mini epidemic of dialysis patients catching COVID and dying in dialysis centers. So I mean, I'm thankful on the one hand that Putin be paying these bills. On the other hand, I'm pissed off that this country doesn't do this for all of our people, and this has got to change.
I mean, I felt that way looking at the student loan letter, to be honest. Also, that was part of what crossed my mind too. Like, so y'all could just wipe this out for everybody. Just send this note to everybody, and let's just keep it moving. Like, what are we doing here? But you're right. Yeah, that's I think we need to have a BPM John Q watch party. Just let it marinate.
I like that. I like it.
Anyway,
speaking
of watch parties, yeah, my bad. Go ahead.
Speaking of hetero lonely,
Oh,
Ear doctor.
oh my God.
Oh,
My dude,
that
I
was
was trying to
mean.
do you better
That
than
was
that,
mean.
ear
That was
doctor. I was trying to.
Hey, I keep women
It is-
around me too. So don't get it twisted.
What, the teachers, your kids'
Oh
school?
God.
That's
Oh, I was just looking up something.
The escorts that you pay.
Men are
What?
either bosses or henpecked.
oh
my
Lord.
Told y'all. Told
Oh
y'all.
my God.
Hetero lonely. Hetero
See,
lonely.
here's the
Hetero
thing.
lonely.
You don't.
Hetero lonely.
Maybe you're not.
Hetero lonely.
Here's the thing. Maybe you're not comfortable with yourself, so you need someone to, be with you. You might be a
Hetero.
lonely soul.
Lonely.
Me,
Wow.
I'm happy with being. I'm happy with me,
And they escort you.
and I like good company around, so I keep good women
Did you
around.
say escort? Did you
Steady
say
paycheck.
escort? Oh my God.
And that's backwards, right? Isn't
What's
I thought
backwards?
the whole point was you can't be loved unless you love yourself.
There you go. That's right. You gotta love yourself. You gotta love yourself. And if
In
you
my
can't
own
find nobody that's loving you,
head,
if you
somebody
can't
cue up
find
KRS.
if you can't find nobody who's loving you like you love yourself, then what's the point? With that said, let's go ahead and take a quick break. Right? Ain't that right, Kim? That's why we single.
Don't drag her down.
Don't implicate her in that.
That's right. Me and Kim in the same bag. This is the remix morning show, y'all. We taking a break. Ow! Man, what they be talking about, man? I don't even know. Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show, y'all. That's right. Please make sure y'all hit that like button, that subscribe button, and all them buttons under there. Share, care, and all that stuff. Go to patreon.com and drop some change in the bucket. You can also go and drop some change on Black Power Media on our Cash App. That's right. We do have a Cash App in case you would like to know about it. Let me put it up on the screen for you. Bam, there it is. Now, let me go ahead and get to the weather, because it's kind of crazy outside. With that said, let's start in the ATL. ATL got a high of 69 degrees, starting at 43. 43 going to 69. We getting hot. All right, let's take it up to Harlem. Let's take it uptown. They starting off at 41 degrees and making it all the way up to 59. That's right. Getting hot in Harlem. All right, and let's take it to the Midwest, where we got Chicago starting off at 40 degrees and making it up only 8 degrees to 48. And Texas, we going to Houston. Big up to Houston. They going from 69 degrees to 79 degrees, a full 10 degrees. Let's take it to the West Coast, Oakland, the Bay area, from 48 to 57, the high will be. And now let's take it to Bermuda, to all my Burmies. Big up to all my Burmies out there. Starting at 63, making it up to 68. And then let's take it all the way to the motherland, no other land. Let's go to Cairo, Egypt. They got a high today of 79. That's kind of average. But I tell you what's not average. The police catching the murderers. That's right. They actually did their job, believe it or not. They went and caught the murderers of the rapper XXXTentacion. That's right. Florida jury convicted Michael Boatwright, Derek Williams, Travion Newsom Monday after deliberating over a week. All three are charged with first-degree murder and the connection to the death of this rapper. So they actually caught somebody. That is not average. And also what happened, a little bit of hip-hop news. Your boy 6ix9ine just got caught up actually telling people, I don't need no bodyguards, I'm outside. And guess what? He got caught outside without his bodyguards. He got beat down. It's wild out here in these streets. Stay home if you can. If not, get out there and don't pop your mouth off. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and get back to the Remix Morning crew. You know how we do. Yeah. All right.
That's a sound piece of advice. Get out there and don't pop your mouth off.
I mean,
stay home if you can.
You keep inviting people like, yeah, I'm outside. I ain't got no bodyguards. Ain't nobody gonna touch me. He gets touched. And a lot of people like it's about time.
So all it was a hands-on.
Oh, they beat him down. About 4 people beat him down in the bathroom. Yeah.
I'm curious, did he announce this on social media that he was outside and like dropped his location or something, and then people appeared? something strange about these younger folks. Like they love to tell on themselves. Like just love it. Like it's compulsory almost. Like, oh, look at all this shit I'm doing illegal. Let me put this on Instagram. Or y'all, I'm tougher than whatever. Y'all can't beat me up. Here I am. Come find me. You know what I'm saying? It's just weird. Why don't y'all just go outside and don't tell nobody?
And on another note, we don't congratulate the fry cooker for making good fries, but yeah, the cops actually found these murderers. So yeah,
I don't know that they the murderers. That's the police that they the murderers. I don't know who really did them boys.
You might be right about that.
They might have just grabbed whoever was hanging out at the McDonald's that day. They said y'all did it.
But you see the pictures of these guys. I'm just saying.
I mean,
come on, what he's saying, man.
What is it? Criminal looking people? What the heck is that?
They fit the description. Is that what you're trying to say, ear doctor?
Oh Lord.
Oh my goodness.
Allegedly.
I think we better allegedly slap the map.
Yeah. Looking like he committed every bit of crime this morning already. Coming on here talking about somebody else. Let's like slap the mat. Yes.
It's the Remix Morning Show, Black Power Media, everybody. Welcome. We was off yesterday, but we all here today. It's Wednesday, March the 22nd. The time is just flying by. Look at us. We got a full house in here today. I'm Kim Brown. We got the ever awesome Jacqueline Lukman. Of course, we got Kamau Franklin. And of course, the Reverend Dr. Jared Paul.
He's the
in the building. Look at the Lord blessing him with all zeros on his student loan balance. Look at God. Look at God. Talk to him, Jared. Give your testimony.
Good.
All the time.
All the time. And somebody, I think Yipper had it right too. I am about to quit BPM. I don't have nothing to complain about anymore.
You gonna stunt on us like that?
Yeah, it's time to, like, all this revolution stuff. Like, clearly all we need is a little bit of Biden, and it's a wrap. Like, so stop complaining. I don't know what news you all got lined up today, but it's just all good, I'm sure.
You don't even care.
I don't even give a damn no more. I'm free. I don't know about anybody else. I'm the anti-Harriet. I'm standing on the other side of the fence like
damn, Jared.
I didn't do that. Ear doctor punishing folks over here.
First the 4% COLA raise, and now this.
You want to leave?
We'll put you out.
That's what it is. No, I got kicked out. I can't leave. Now
you can't quit. You fired.
You fired. Like, yeah, all right. Stand on the other side throwing pennies at the window. Like, I'm out here.
Well, speaking of getting free, this story out of California, I talked about it with Dr. Linwood Tauheed, our resident economist at Black Economically Speaking last Friday. California has proposed this $5 million reparations payments to descendants of slavery. Now, before you get excited,
that $5 million sound like $5, Jackie. Like,
there's that. Okay, but okay, so California has proposed a one-time lump sum payment of $5 million to eligible Black San Franciscans who are descendants of slavery, earned an unlikely opponent. The San Francisco chapter of the NAACP rejected the potential measure, arguing reparations should be distributed or dispersed rather via investments and opportunity for the Black community, not direct cash payments. They, the NAACP, the California chapter of the NAACP, say in a statement, the president, Amos Brown of the San Francisco NAACP said, quote, "We strongly believe that creating and funding programs that can improve the lives of those who have been impacted by racism and discrimination is the best path forward toward equality and justice. Instead of direct cash payments, Brown and the NAACP called for investments in 5 key areas, those being education, jobs, housing, healthcare, and a cultural center for Blacks in the city. This is a copy of the letter, which not going to link on. The remarks from the NAACP came following a public meeting held by the San Francisco Board of Supervisors to discuss a proposed reparations package that was developed by the San Francisco African American Reparations Advisory Committee, which was established by the board in December 2020 to advise San Francisco's local government and the public on the creation of a citywide reparations package. Several critics insisted that the $5 million payout was illegal, including San Francisco mayoral candidate Richie Greenberg, who said the move violated both California and federal law. And he said he made these claims on the grounds that this is favoring one race of people for relief over another. He said it's and the Heritage Foundation of all people said it's an illegal and immoral wealth transfer. I'm sorry. Let me just stop right here with the
immoral
commentary part of this.
Illegal.
Before this slips my mind, slavery was an illegal and immoral wealth transfer.
Slavery was actually
right
illegal.
There. That racial discrimination, Jim Crow was an illegal and immoral wealth
transfer. It was legal. Tell me about.
It was legal. You're right. It was legal. It was illegal, but it was immoral wealth transfer. Okay, yeah. You
and their reading of the Bible made it moral, Jackie.
Yeah, that part of the Bible is bullshit. So that's some bullshit. And I'm Christian, and I'm telling you, it's some bullshit. So the Heritage Foundation's Kara Fredericks said it's not about compassion. It's not about humans flourishing. It's not about lifting people up at all. It's about power. You think? Exactly. I can't disagree with her there. It's about the left saying, we'll give you free stuff if you vote for us, so vote for us. Yeah, no. And who's going to foot the bill? That is the key, I think. We all know who's going to foot the bill. It's the taxpayer. So when I talk to, and I'm going to drop this in the chat for y'all so you can read it, read the letter, the actual letter from the California San Francisco chapter of the NAACP and all of the arguments people made. So when I talked to Dr. Tawhid about this Friday, he raised a really good point, which was something I didn't think of, because I looked at the NAACP opposing this as very being along the lines of the typical respectability politics argument that we get from a lot of pettit bourgeois Black folks about reparations. Oh, you can't give Negroes a check. You can't give Negroes money because they're irresponsible and they're just going to spend it all. That's how I looked at this. But Dr. Tawhid raised two really great points. Number one, California is not like the federal government. They can't just make their own money. So, the reason the federal government, the FDIC, the Treasury Department can bail out all these banks is because they can print all their money and they don't lose a dime. California is not that. So this $5 million, unfortunately, this chick from the Heritage Foundation, she's right. This $5 million would come from the taxpayers because that's how California gets their money. They're not going to get it from the federal government. You feel me? And then the other point he made was that the other reason that the San Francisco NAACP opposes cash payments, and all pettit bourgeois Black folks organizations oppose the cash payout component of reparations, is because they're arguing for their piece of the pie. They want to be the managers of these programs, these reparations programs. So these are these pettit bourgeois Black folks, and let's face it, the NAACP in every iteration, basically pettit bourgeois Black folks who are more focused on electoral politics than they are on any justice, anything. Their opposition is really them saying, we are positioning ourselves to be managers of these programs. That's it. They're not really opposing this reparations proposal on any principled opposition. They're really not even going with the respectability thing. They just want to, solidify their position.
No, like he said,
gatekeepers of Black America, basically.
Yeah, and like he said, and I want to echo, people should watch that interview with Professor Tauheed, because one of the points he makes with you in that interview is that he's saying San Francisco can't afford to pay every individual or every family $5 million, but they can afford to pay one organization $5 million or $50 million to disperse, to be in charge of dispersing that one-time payment to whomever, likely themselves, that they can. And so it was, yeah. It's a nice little hustle money grab, and explains why I think so many less than revolutionaries are interested in reparations as an issue.
When I hear that $5 million sum, the first thing I think of, I'm like, that is a high profile payment to a family for a police brutality case, right? Like $5 million for all the Black people in San Francisco. And I don't know much about this, Jackie. How is it that San Francisco Black folks are being selected for this potential reparations payment as opposed to Black people in the rest of the state?
That's a good question. I do not know. I have to look more into this commission that was convened. I suspect some things that I'm not. I suspect the influence of a certain 4-letter formation of people that makes this deeply problematic for me. And Dr. Tauheed and I talked about that too. We talked about reparations in general on the show Friday. Totally didn't intend to, but he wanted to talk about this story in particular. And I think that is something that we are going to have to contend with as we deal with reparations going forward. What are we going to do about this schism, this rift that's been created by these folks? And are they undercutting the movement? And how do we I hate to say, how do we unify the reparations movement? Because you don't get unity without organization, and these people don't want to be an organization with us. So I don't know how to do that, but I don't know. Dr. Tauheed and I have some ideas. We're cooking up some things, and we'll see how some of that works out. But to your point, Kim, I'm going to have a guest on a little bit later on that really does highlight the paucity of that $5 million, because Philadelphia just settled a class action lawsuit for $9.5 million for protesters who were assaulted by the pigs in Philly in 2020. So that $5 million is, as much as California, isn't going to do that.
Sorry.
Philly was like, yeah, we owe these folks who were beaten to death. Well, not to death. Well, had their asses kicked by the cops. That $5 million is nothing. That's nothing.
Well, let me just I it sounds like this is a commission with no power whatsoever to enact anything. So basically, it's a piece of paper that says this is what's owed. But if I play off of it and I assume that, hey, somehow there's a force of government that's got $5 million checks individually lined up for Black people, my advice is that the NAACP and everybody else better get the fuck out the way, because $5 million. If there was any real reparations and they said $5 million for every individual Black person who lived in San Francisco or whatever, and that's my assumption is they could afford to pay it, and this comes out to like 500 million, whatever. Folks better get the fuck out the way, because I don't think it's a smart thing to oppose it, and I think people should grab it. To be honest, it's like no one enslaved the NAACP. I don't remember the NAACP being enslaved.
No, but
so you got $5 million per person. I'm like, people are going to grab that money, and people should stand the fuck out the way. Again, only on the force if this was somehow a possibility, as opposed to just a piece of paper with no enforcement whatsoever. So it's not,
and that's why Tauheed was right in that interview. He starts off by saying it's a plan designed to fail, in part because the city, as Jackie was just saying, can't afford it. So, and it would require something. I think he broke it down, something like every white citizen would have to pay like $600,000 or something crazy like that, and it's like, they're never going to do that. So as I think a lot of this it's people just posturing for something else, and they know that they can't. I mean, but what I also liked about what Tauheed said in that discussion again was just like what was done for the banks, just like what was done during COVID with the CARES and all those other acts, they just prop the money together. They just, it's not even printing money anymore. It's putting digits together on a computer screen and wiping out debt or putting money in certain accounts. So they could do that for all Black people in the country. They could do that for all people, period. They could wipe out everybody's debt. And I mean, there's all kinds of things that could be done. And then the country has the productive capacity to produce whatever it needs. So it can, I mean, all of this stuff about taxes and inflation and what we can and cannot afford is
discussion is never about can they do it based on resources. Is there a will to do it? And the absolute positive answer is no. Right. There's no will, because they don't. One, you got the folks who are like on one end, they just don't feel Black folks deserve it. And you got others who are just like, we would just never do it. Like whatever we did is in the past kind of thing. So, I mean, it's never going to be there's no reparations movement that's really going to have a real impact in terms of distribution until after there's some revolutionary radical change in the country. It's just, you can't put the cart before the horse. You can talk about reparations. You can talk about the need and the righteousness and the historical elements involved and why reparations should happen. But reparations, which are going to make Black people whole, whatever that number is, and I would, the low bar for me would be the 5 million to start with. But if you're going to talk about something like that, just know that it's a philosophical conversation you're having until you really get on the ground and do some organizing work and you do something. It's for me, again, it's similar to the abolition conversation. Of course, I believe in abolition, but you don't get to abolish the police before you do something about the whole state that uses the police for a particular purpose. They know exactly what they're doing. Instead of like an accident, they set it up this way. It wasn't like, oh golly gee, how did this all go wrong? They're like, things are proceeding exactly how we wanted. If there's some things that we got to do to tinker with the system to keep it going, obviously we're willing to do that. But in the end, it's about how do they keep this system going. And I think you guys had earn your liberation when you had that conversation about white folks don't mind leading or being in charge of the minority. It was like, exactly. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not like just because it's a demographic majority, everything starts to change and freedom is here. It's like, no, they're going to fight even harder. They're going to create even more mechanisms to continue keeping control. And you keep thinking it's a democratic process and all you got to do is come out and vote. And they're loving it. They're loving it.
And I do agree with Dr. Tauheed with what he said, that in his opinion, we'll get reparations when we don't need it. When we have seized power, when we have when this system has been destroyed, when this capitalist system is destroyed, and we have the power to do it, that's when we'll get reparations, not a minute before. And I think that's what basically what you're saying, Kamau. We can't this cart before the horse kind of thing. It's not going to happen that way. So you might as well go ahead and join an organization and help speed that thing up. Yeah.
Can I show you where the revolution is beginning?
Where?
Just to catch you all up, just so you're all aware. This is it with my
in your village.
My village board slate. This is us. This is the this is the anti-corporation slate that I'm a part of. So there it is, everybody.
In Columbia?
Yeah. In Columbia, the Hickory Ridge Village Board slate. So we are the six of us are in league to stand up against Kimco and all the other billionaire contractors trying to impose all bunch of stuff on our neighborhood. Look at Kamau laughing. You laughing, but this is it.
So is this like a socialist slate? Is it a socialist slate?
No, they're not. No. I wouldn't say anybody is as far left as I am. But they are the basics, the basic agreement for this.
Do they know who you are? Too?
See, that's what.
Do they know who they are in coalition with?
Villagers do not know what they are. They ain't ready. They are not ready.
I've had a few. We've had a few discussions, and I've let them know that I am more left than they're probably used to, and but the core agreement is just around, the basics. The residents have said we don't want certain things, and these billionaire contractors have said we don't care, and we're going to develop this. And the biggest thing is all of the wealth and equity that would be generated goes to them. They reduce the amount of low-income housing, or they put it all in one specific area so they can create their little ghettos and keep all the richer areas, safe and clear of all of that. And it's some wild
like
stuff.
A city council. I'm sorry. So this is like a city council. This is not.
Yeah,
like
it's like lower than that. It's lower than that. This is like the lowest. This is like
it's like a neighborhood association.
Yes.
Yeah, like each. Okay. Yeah. In the city has all these little villages, or and then they have the board.
Villages sound so Howard County, like Carl Burrows or something, man.
Well, I'm just saying what they're called. I mean, that's what they're called. I don't know. You're right. It does sound. I'm not, thrilled with the terminology.
The village of Wild Lake, the village of Owen Brown, the village.
Like, shut up, Columbia. Nobody. It's not a village. It's a neighborhood.
So
I like how you say about how you tell them that you're a little left in what they, because I feel like that's the same language I use for like parents at my kid's school. If I bump into a neighbor and they happen to have seen some interview or somehow some discussion on politics comes up, where it's like, it's not worth it for me to really get involved in some deep level conversation. So it's kind of, but you got to let it be known somehow based on some things that may get discussed. I use the gentle language with those folks too. It's kind of like, you don't really need to know everything.
I don't want to get into it, and I'm not going to have an argument. So I'll make a joke. Like I'm far left, like I'm off the page left, and I just leave it at that. And then we just keep it moving. And then they make a little face, and we just, but we have a core agreement, and that's what we're sticking to. It's not, we don't need to get into every level of all of this. And yes, it is at the very bottom of the political apparatus. So like, but I'm just letting everybody know that this is it. So you knew me when, and when I'm, whatever, that's it.
So you're going to be telling people that your middle name is Claudia Jones, Paul Robeson, Dedan Kimathi, Kwame Nkrumah.
So I would, but they wouldn't understand the references anyway. So I just,
but there's one or two that does a little research. There's one or two who knows, so they'll do a little research on you.
And they're just like,
but the other thing is, honestly, we haven't gotten that far. So like, I'm really a rookie at all of this. I really don't even know a lot of the details about my own little community and how it works. So I'm learning on the fly, and it is madness. It is just a whole bunch of corrupt, shady. It's like, it is the microcosm. I keep saying it's a microcosm of everything else. So it's a version of it's happening everywhere else is happening here. It just,
so are you going to be going out and canvassing and all the rest of it too?
So we talked about that. I was like, look, I told the people that really wanted to bring me into this, I was like, listen, for a number of reasons, that's not my thing. And that's not the best thing. I was like, you should let me do some virtual stuff. We'll do some panels, stuff like that. But the door-to-door thing, like, that's not my game. That's not my lane. I'm not good at that. I've even told Netfa and them, like, don't ask me to speak at these rallies. I can't do what Jackie and Kamau do. I'll be up there fucking up the whole program. So just let me stay in my lane and help the way I can help. And it's the same thing here. Like, I'm not, and I don't really want to do that. Like, this is going to be a little bit difficult. Like, I don't want to be like, hey, I'm at the shopping center and do you have a minute to talk to me about, like, I know, like, so I'm going to see if we can find another way to deal with that.
How are you going to run for vice president that time?
But again, it was a different kind of thing. It was like, it was with the Green Party. It didn't require the door-to-door thing. It was very much a virtual, type of thing. Plus we had no resources. So it was like, how many doors am I going to actually get to? And it's like, I don't even have gas to get past. I can't get to Delaware, much less drive around the whole country. So it's like, but I will have to work. I'll have to figure some of these things out, but
I have some of the folks in the chat with us talking about something similar about what they, what you tell your kids or what you tell the parents and the teachers,
right?
How the kids rat you out half the time, and my kids do that too. Like, I think I've told you, like, my kids have talked about killing certain figures, and I was like, "Yo,
No.
keep that in the house. What's wrong with you? Who told you that?" They had a kidnapping scheme. I was like, "Yo, leave that alone." Like that's like
I
And
like your
swear,
kids' energy.
yeah.
Your kids.
Yeah.
I like the way your children think.
I was
Kamau.
like, I
Train
mean,
'em
not when
well.
it winds,
Just,
winds them up and me or in prison for some bad charge, or them in detention. I was like, "Yo,
no, just you got to work on the discipline a little bit, the discipline with the discourse a little bit, but good job.
Tell
What
the
daddy
plan."
says in the car stays in the car. These are
Yep.
car conversations, girls. That's what it's like all the time. Like, now I'm dropping you off, and what daddy just got finished saying is just for us now.
Well, Jared, I used to attend high school near Hickory Ridge. I appreciate you trying to clean that area up, man. It really needs to be cleaned up.
But it's
I'm
but
just
so
kidding.
part of what
It's actually very sparkly and clean, but yeah.
Well, it's interesting because what they've actually done, this one corporation in particular, it has intentionally driven businesses out of the village center to make it look like it's more depleted, so that people will start to say kind of what you're saying relative to what we should be expecting. This is looking a little run down. So get in here and fix it. That's what they're doing intentionally. That's why the banks got, the shoe shine, all these other businesses have gotten moved out, and they they want to. If anybody in the area is familiar, like all of the, like down by Columbia Mall and all of the new city centers where you have like the fly new stores with the fly apartments above them and all that kind of stuff, that's the kind of stuff that they want to start building around here.
Because that giant, at least the one at Hickory Ridge, that was about the most raggedy giant in Columbia. Like that joint was raggedy. I'm like, God damn. Yeah.
But they want to do all of that, and then they make it seem all hot and everything, and everybody gets excited. But of course, they're the only ones who make all the money, and they walk away with the equity from the property. They walk away with the everything, and then and we're just stuck. So you might see me in looking like a Dave Chappelle video when he was at that town hall meeting, looking like he was worse than he actually was. Because it starts to get a little complicated, because the first thing that they'll say is, "Oh, you're against black people and poor people because you don't want the low income housing that we're including in all of this." And then you're like, "But that's only like 10 units out of 250." And so it gets real slick like that. "Oh, you don't want progress, or you're against this, you're against them. You don't want diversity in the community." And it's like, "Well, I do, but I also want diversity of class." And they're like, "Oh, well, I didn't mean all that. I didn't mean all that." So I mean, we're gonna see. It'll be interesting. It'll be I'm looking forward to learning some things. It's gonna be interesting.
Interesting.
We'll see. But it all starts here. The revolution is coming, everybody. So just hold on.
Starting in Columbia. The village.
Which, by the way,
the village.
Columbia just made another one of those lists of one of the most pleasant places to live. I think it ranked number 5 on the list in America. I said, okay, Columbia.
The whole goddamn country.
Yeah.
Columbia always scores very well. No, it always does. It's like, because on paper it's great. I mean, it is on paper. I mean, it is. There's always some stuff underneath that's not, but it's great. I mean, it's, there's, relatively speaking, and that's why they know that there is a hotbed more of exploitation, and that they can wring out of it. And they're like, this is so let's get in there. This is,
that one season of The Wire, do you guys remember when it was focused on the children? It was like, kids focused. And I remember it was a scene, a dialogue between all the little boys, and they made a reference to Howard County. And the one little boy goes, "Oh, you can't go out to Howard County, man. That's where the Klan is."
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm like, he knew. Look at them knowing.
Not incorrect.
No, exactly.
And there's one thing, we did an episode where Diedrich Muhammad and others did some research on the history and the current condition economically and racially of Colombia. And one of the things of the many things that were interesting in that report is that even as black people relative to other black people in the country do well here in terms of income and wealth compared to other black people in the country, and even though there's been an increase in black and brown people into Colombia over the last 50 years, the interaction that they measured between black and white has gotten worse. So in other words, black people and white people don't interact any more than at one point in history. The kids are not engaging each other even as they enter the same buildings in school. The segregation occurs in the classrooms there. So so it's just, I think that, and to me, that statistic more than anything says everything about this place, that even where the material condition, relatively speaking, is improved, the relationships don't really change, and the interaction isn't really changing, and the wealthier whites continue to exclusivize themselves, if I can make up a word there, and isolate themselves, as do other rich communities of non-white populations, which is fascinating. Like, how do you have this almost exclusively East Indian community in these brand new palatial estate homes right down the street from where I live? How do you arrange that, where there's literally, like, I think maybe one white family and maybe one continental African family, and then everybody else is I mean, not East Asian, I'm sorry. I guess this would be, what is it? India Asian. That's what I meant, not East Asian. So it's like, how do you do that? And then how do you get such an exclusively racially segregated community? I don't. Anyway, so it's just wild stuff. I got
money. Like, I mean,
Like
and you know this, dog. The amount of people that are out here making cash offers on homes will actually blow your mind. Like, I mean, there is so much money relative to how much poverty there is. There's a lot of money out here, and people with that sort of access to that kind of liquid resource, they can make those things happen. You know what I'm saying? But they're not bougie and presenting all their wealth accoutrements. I mean, probably when they get to Colombia, but they'll push that 15-year-old Toyota, you know what I'm saying, for a long time before they buy that Benz to keep stacking that money.
And wasn't no Toyotas on this street. It was my daughter's soccer team street. It wasn't no Toyotas. Right. It was, I was over there looking like I was in the busted vehicle. Like, they were like looking at me like, what you doing here? Come get your ass out of here.
You poor to kick it over here, bro.
Hey, you want to get to one more story before we move on? I know we got guests coming up in the next hour. We got a couple of interviews. The world is being covered this morning. Anybody want to grab one more before we move on?
Yeah, so this is not a new story, but I thought this was very interesting since that, the Oscars just happened and people were all pissed off because what's her face didn't get an Oscar for Black Panther. I've never liked the Oscars. I just don't do award ceremonies. They're kind of boring to me, but that's just me. But it's good to know that the Oscars were actually created to combat Hollywood unions. This story is from 2018, but it is good to know that Louis B. Mayer, who was at one time the most powerful man in Hollywood, created the Oscars to keep people from unionizing. He started out trying to keep construction costs low by hiring MGM craftsmen only to discover that due to the studio construction unions labor agreements, he had to pay them more anyway because that's what the unions said. So he found a loophole to keep his costs down, and he created this Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, or AMPAS, and he launched it directed at directors, actors, writers, producers, and technicians. And he invited them to this swanky banquet where he introduced this organization. And he told them that if they signed on as a member of the Academy, this newly created, that he just cooked up in his head, Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, they would get better working conditions and the prestige of being associated with an elite organization. Really, he did this to keep them from unionizing. And his reasoning was that if you get these people to compete with each other for awards, they won't then follow the crafts members who unionized and decide to unionize themselves. So that's how the Oscars came about, y'all. And then actually, Louis B. Mayer is quoted as saying, "I found that the greatest way to handle movie makers was to hang medals all over them. If I got them cups and awards, they'd kill themselves to produce what I wanted. That's why the Academy Awards was created." So all these folks just clamoring, falling over themselves for an Academy Award. That it wasn't created to recognize anybody's actual talent. It was created to appeal to these people's egos and to keep them from unionizing to fight for better working conditions and wages for workers. So there
Makes
you go.
sense. That makes sense. I mean, and you know, that's why we got, again, everybody enjoys sports, whatever, but like, you know, sports and all the rest of it, it's about how much can we distract you from actually improving your day-to-day lives and have you root for something so outside of yourself that it has no bearing whatsoever on your day-to-day living conditions.
Mhm.
So that makes a lot of sense to me. That, and then these folks and there's an elite set of them who have access to wealth anyway by playing along in the system. But the majority of folks who work on these movies, you know, they don't have access to that. But but because it's the star power that guides everything in these kind of industries, that's what keeps it moving. So yeah, I'm not shocked at that at all.
Speaking of star power.
Oh.
Yo.
Really?
See, now that's how you do it. That's how you do it right there. You know what I mean? You should learn something from him, Kamau. Anyway, yo, I had a conversation something similar to that about the whole God theory the other day. I'm sure Kamau and Jared will like it, as in
the opiate of the masses. But go ahead.
Yeah, the fact that you make up an imaginary God, make up an imaginary devil to take away accountability from yourself. The whole concept of something happened good, let me say God did it. Something happened bad, let me say the devil did it. Why not just say you did it? Anyway, that's a whole nother story. So we're gonna take a break right here. We got dope interviews coming up. What you say?
You badly told it.
Yeah.
Theology with the ear doctor.
Hey, I got it for y'all.
We do everything here.
We got it. The stuff you're not supposed to talk about.
You individualized it from the individualized. Then you put the blame on you as an individual. Supposed to, well, the idea is that this collective, this God collective, again, takes you away from fighting for power or organizing. That kind of stuff as a collective, as opposed to suggesting that everything is either in. Why are you pointing to your head?
You get it. You get it.
I'm not talking to you.
I do not suggest that the ear doctor teach revolutionary theology 101. I do not suggest it.
The ladies don't say I'm hetero lonely. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to this break right here real quick. Right here on I'm lonely. Get out of here, man. Right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. DMV area, where you at? Stand up. Yeah. Go ahead. All right, check this out. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. We're going to do a quick break real quick. And I wanted to do an artist spotlight. Who did I want to talk about today? No other than Club Nouveau. Y'all remember Club Nouveau? Man, let me tell you about Club Nouveau. They was an R&B group. They had a record producer and they had the performer J. King back in California back in 86. Now, this was the following of the Timex Social Club. I don't know if y'all remember them, but they came out with that song, Look at All These Rumors, WB Every Day. So yeah, that was them. So then they wound up breaking up and they was going to keep the original name Jet Set to go, but they was like, let's capitalize off this whole Timex Social Club and name it Club Nouveau. So you know what happens when you capitalize off stuff. Things don't always work. But anyway, the group got signed and they came out with this song that was a go-go version of Bill Withers' song, Lean on Me. Woo, that joint was jamming too. He actually got a Grammy Award back in 1987 for that. And then they came out, what happened is they came out with a debut album, Love, Life, and Pain. That came out and it was a clapback. They had a song called Jealousy that came back at the Rumor song. Then they did Lean on Me. And then Why You Treat Me So Bad. That was the joint too. Because you know what happened with that? The Loonies wound up using that for I Got 5 on It. That's right. So that was something that was used and redone. But it's not much to say about man. They had like 8 members that came and went, just like they switched out quicker than the Temptations. So they came and did their thing. They had actually like 5 albums. They started being on some more conscious stuff, and people wasn't really trying to hear it. The whole sound went down. It was a New Jack Swing sound and this, that, and the third. So yeah, they gracefully stage left. So big up to Club Nouveau for all the tunes they gave us. And if you don't know about them, now you know. Baby. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and get back to our hosts right here on the Remix Morning Show. Yeah. Right there.
I don't know the words, but yeah. Oh my goodness.
That's what it sounded like, though. Yeah.
That's exactly.
Lean on Me was on the soundtrack of the movie Lean on Me, which probably came out when I was about 10 years old, and I did not know that Lean on Me was a remake until, of course, my mother informed me. That's Bill Withers. Oh, okay. Well, it sounded like Club Nouveau with a little pocket in the back. And I didn't realize that was specifically a go-go version. That's
go-go, right?
I heard that.
And they got a Grammy. A go-go song gets a Grammy? How often
But is it go-go, though? Was it a go-go?
I was questioning that. It never really, it had like the basic, like,
come on.
They didn't really hit the pocket. It was like a pre-programmed keyboard. It wasn't like they had Mickey back there smacking them. That's not even live instruments.
That is kind of
that's like what I made on my Casio in the basement.
It was
it was huge. That song was huge.
It was.
It was.
Why You Treat Me So Bad? Also a big record. Also a very big record.
Yes.
I don't know why, baby. Why you treat me so bad? Or why you do me the way you do?
Yo, big up to the whole 80s and 90s sound, man. That was special.
Jackie's not a fan. Jackie's not a fan of the 80s keyboard synthesizers sound.
Is that why she left?
That's not why she departed. She said, I don't want to hear all this shit.
I was busy listening to mosh music.
And
she was busy in mosh pits.
And I don't know about the interview, but y'all could go ahead and get back to some more news if y'all want to, and I'll catch you on the next break.
I thought we had somebody in the background there.
We do have somebody in the background. Her name is Jackie Lukman.
We got Jacqueline.
Whose guess was that came and went? Was that Ear Doctor's guess?
I thought that was Jackie's.
Kalanji's. That was Kalanji.
Oh, okay.
Jackie, you're muted. And I think it was.
Oh, sorry. No, my guest is at 9:30.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, so we do have time. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We have a bit of time. We have a spot of time.
All right.
What
would you
I got nothing else to talk about now?
No, I thought we had the run sheet said, oh, look at somebody went in and wiped it out. Look at that. Somebody updated the run sheet after the fact. That's what my children do on our calendar all the time, messing up our whole day. I told you it wasn't there, Daddy. It was never there. I was like, it was there this morning. That's why I'm sitting here in the parking lot. Anyway, whatever.
Well,
are y'all on a shared family calendar? Is that how that works?
We do. That's the only thing. Wow. It's the only way we can make it work. It's the only way to keep everything together. Like and that's why everything. Like I'm big on it. Put it on the calendar because I won't remember, and you need a ride, and then the other one needs a ride, and we got 4 people, 4 schedules all over the place, plus the dog. Like he got his own schedule. Like
Roberto, shout out to Roberto.
Yeah, I'm saying he got his needs. He's like, I need my medicine. When you take me my nail appointment? You know what I'm saying? I need to get my nails trimmed.
Ooh, them dogs in Colombia got it good.
Straight up, man. He won't let us clip it. So I gotta take him to get it. No. I need help with that. He won't even let us do it. We tried everything. And I'm like, it's either one of us is gonna get hurt. So I'm like, I gotta get the professionals involved.
Will he bite? The dog will bite.
No, he doesn't bite. He just starts, he's extremely frantic. And
is he a kicker?
He's like, don't put you're trying to hold me down. You're trying to hold me down. And it's like, oh man, yeah. So, We gotta get, and I tip them and everything because they get 2 people involved. They gotta, put them on the little harness on the table.
God damn.
And yeah, it's some work. So I'm like, here's your $20. Here's another couple of dollars on top of it. You know what I mean? It's a little $20 monthly bill, but I gotta, it's like, anyway,
must be done.
Otherwise, I'll be here bleeding. Like, good morning, everybody. She's all scratched up. I trimmed the dog today. Anyway. Roberto Duran. He lives up to that name, boy.
All right, go ahead with that story, Kamau.
Whoops.
I was going to tell Kim, I pulled up your story if you wanted to do your story.
Whoops.
God has spoken.
Yeah, God has spoken. The voice, the other voice. I saw the voice at the rally, by the way. I didn't get a chance to say hello, but I did get to
the
see
voice
the
speak
actual
at the
voice.
rally?
I didn't hear him speak. No. He didn't.
No,
I don't think
he was
spoke.
he was on rhythm this time. He was one of the drum majors this time. It was pretty cool.
No, I like it when the voice speaks, obviously. So, but Kim, I do have your story. Do you want me to
say one more thing about that? Let me interrupt one more time. I'm sorry. The other thing real quick, because I know you all will recognize this. Like when you show up at the rally and you see people that you don't want to see, we had that moment too. We had a couple of those moments too. It's like we see each other from across the crowd. Like, I'm not fucking with you. I'm not fucking with you.
Those sound like tall people problems.
You got to go the other way. You got to turn your back slightly.
Right. It's that cinematic standoff is like, and then you go part way.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you didn't see
Still happens frequently with me. Yeah,
but we did get a number of people. Like BPM has an audience, so shout out to the remixers that came over and said hello and all of that. It was dope. Like we had actually a nice little, and my daughters had jokes about that too. Look at you try to be a low-level influencer.
Oh,
Look at Daddy, the celebrity walking through the crowd. People recognize it. It was like every time somebody said something, it was a whole line of jokes. As soon as the person left, my daughters entered joke mode. Looking at each other like,
you think he's famous? You think he's famous?
The shade, though. Your daughters called you a low-level celebrity. Like, damn, that's shady, dog. Let's call your daddy a low-level celebrity. Damn.
I'm like, damn. They're like, go ahead. No, they're like, no, go ahead, Daddy. It's a compliment. It's a compliment. Look at you, low-level influencer. I wanted smart children, and I got what I asked for. Guys.
Woo, child. They got something for you.
Yeah. Anyway,
let me. My apologies for dampening the mood here with this next story. And come out the article that you can go ahead and pull it up because there has been so many changing details surrounding this story, and it's really not getting its proper attention because of the police narrative. And especially the narrative surrounding crime and youthful offenders, etc. So this happened last week where a 17-year-old was shot and killed by U.S. Park Police in Northeast D.C. They identified the 17-year-old as Delano Martin. And the details surrounding this are very unclear. So what the U.S. Park Police have said is that in an attempted traffic stop, one officer was actually inside the vehicle with 17-year-old Delano, and another officer was outside, and Delano allegedly took off from the traffic stop, dragging one officer. The other officer who was inside the vehicle shot and killed him. But as is typical with these police shooting, these police murder stories, the details simply just do not make sense. So subsequent reports have come out indicating that number one, the 17-year-old was possibly sleeping in the vehicle. The vehicle was reported to have been a stolen vehicle, but it's not clear whether or not he stole the vehicle. So when police encountered him, he was apparently asleep in the car. And it's not clear how and or why one officer got to be inside the vehicle with him. But if the young man was apparently asleep, woke up, discovered the officers, and attempted to flee, I'm just curious as to why taking out your pistol and shooting him is the logical response here. There seem to be a number of other ways that this vehicle could have been stopped or this young man could have been subdued or apprehended before killing him. But because police shoot Black people in Washington, D.C. all the time, it's routine. This particular shooting, I don't think is garnering its proper attention. And again, with the shaky, shifting details being released in sort of a drip, 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 drip mode, it tells me that the police are obviously lying about the circumstances surrounding this. So I want us to just be aware that this has happened, that another teen has been murdered by police in the district, this time by U.S. Park Police. And there are dozens of police agencies in this city. So it's hard to keep track of because the police shoot people here routinely. But Delano Martin, 17 years old, shot and killed by U.S. Park Police. It does not appear to indicate that he was armed because, of course, if he had a gun, we would know it. That would have been leading the story that he was armed. It does not appear to be the case. So let's just keep an eye on this and just make sure that we're aware that this had happened.
Particularly the details of, I don't think I've heard of why is the cop in the car? Like
Right.
It sounds like he's in, like you're saying, he's physically in the car, not outside the car, hitting on the window, but he's physically in the car with the person. That is obviously not any procedure which is documented to happen at a car stop where a cop opens a door and physically gets in a car seat next to or with the person who's being stopped. So that detail alone is the fact that they even have to announce that detail means that there's something highly suspicious going on in terms of the narrative of the story, because there's no scenario where a cop legitimately and even if they're so-called thinking about their own safety would sit down in the car with someone who's asleep or something like this. So that on its face sounds like
Weird.
Yeah, something else is going on that we just don't know about right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then,
And I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jackie.
no, I mean, just speaking to the jurisdiction that so many different law enforcement agencies have in DC, I don't even think residents, I'm not clear on like why are the park police doing a traffic stop? What is that about? And I just need to say on the record, police shouldn't be shooting and killing people if they have a gun either. I mean,
Correct.
police, the pigs shouldn't be shooting and killing people, even if they are guilty of something. That just, all of that discourse just needs to go out the window. This whole thing is very suspect. I have no idea why park police would be involved in a routine kind of traffic stop in general.
And again, so you're the story is saying that one cop gets in the car while this person is sleeping, and then the other cop, and then while he drives away with the cop in the car, the other cop kills him from outside the car. Is that
I interpret, again, the way that it's being reported, it's very confusing. So the way I'm interpreting this is that there was one cop inside the vehicle with him, another cop, I'm assuming, on the outside, perhaps on the driver's side. So when the young man awoke and flee, again, I can't even confirm any of these details because all of this is per the police, right? So we should assume a lot of this is lies. So according to them, when he awoke and attempted to flee, the officer on the outside got dragged, and the officer on the inside
killed him.
drew his gun and shot. But I'm like, you can't grab the keys. You can't grab the like. You're unholstering your gun and shooting someone 12 inches away from you is your first reaction. You can't subdue a 17-year-old.
But getting into the vehicle.
Yeah, why are you in the car?
Why get into that? Makes nope. No, there's nothing logical, standard procedure. Nope. That's garbage.
No, there's something very, very fishy about this whole scenario. And Metropolitan Police has been tasked with investigating this, and we know how that goes. Okay. I mean, it kills me. I see Robert Conte, who is the DC police chief. He does his weekly rounds on the local news networks, and they interview him, and it's all there. What's a follow-up question? These people never ask this man no follow-up questions. Chief Conte, why is it that you don't have all the officers that you need to keep violent criminals off the street? What the fuck are you talking about, reporter? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you eat? Is that your goddamn question? Like, why don't you ask him about now the other Metropolitan Police officer who has been charged with second-degree murder for which is this only the second or third time in DC's history where these cops have been charged with murdering somebody on duty. In the case of is it Antoine Gilmore? Jacqueline, the young man who was asleep in his car at New York Avenue and Florida Avenue, and the cop shot at him 10 times. That cop has been charged with second-degree murder. And back in December, 2 police officers who were accused of contributing to the death of Karan Hilton Brown, they were convicted. One of them was convicted of second-degree murder. They have appealed that decision, and we'll see if they even get sentenced. But cops in this city kill people all the time, and it ends up being no big deal. And it really gets on my nerves because of, again, who they are killing. You know, they are killing and shooting Black people in the metro. I mean, every fucking where. And it doesn't really make national waves in the ways that I think that it should.
Yeah, and I have to say, unfortunately, as a resident of DC, I live in Southeast, I live in the hood. It doesn't make the kinds of waves it needs to make in our communities either, because we got a serious class problem where too many bourgeois Black folks in this city, well, their first response is, well, maybe they deserved it. Maybe they were doing something wrong. Maybe I don't care if they were doing something wrong. I literally don't care if somebody, like, there are a couple of people in our neighborhood who have these idiotic Ring cameras, and one of them is a pig. And she was all pissed off because, oh, my Ring camera caught someone ransacking my squad car. And I'm just looking at she puts the video on the neighborhood Facebook page, and be careful. I'm like, well, first of all, if you a pig and you don't know how to lock your damn car doors, what the fuck? How sorry do you want me to feel for you? Just, I don't understand. What is wrong with you? You didn't need a Ring camera.
Well, let's ask the police officer the same question that's asked of all these victims. Well, what did you do?
What did you do?
What did you do that caused people to respond in that way?
Exactly. So, when I have these kind of conversations with my neighbors about these issues, when these things happen, when the cops kill our people, their response is always, well, what did they do? What they had to have done something wrong for the police to be looking at them. Well, the pig neighbor must have done something wrong for the car thief to be looking at her squad car. Literally, the guy was walking around the neighborhood at 3:00 in the morning trying all the car doors. It's like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's just all right. But because we have those automatic lights on our porches, when the light comes on, he moves on. You don't have to. But we are not having the conversation we need to be having about these kinds of issues in our neighborhoods because we have a serious class problem. So it is a part of our organizing that we raise this issue among our people. Like, no, this is not what did they do? They must have done something to deserve the attention of the police. This is an issue of the police are oppressive and they're killing our people, period. And that really is a difficult message to get across to folks who really think they're capitalists, honestly.
Well, let's switch to a story in which the police are showing their integrity, their good sense, their moral righteous value. Huh? Atlanta police lieutenant accused of DUI crashing car. I'll do this quick because I think the doctor's coming back soon. But this was just hilarious to me. So Atlanta police lieutenant, I think it's Renato Anaya, was arrested Saturday after being accused of driving under the influence and crashing his car into street signs in Paulding County, according to the Georgia State Patrol Tuesday. Now, what makes this story interesting is this not some cop who crashed a car or whatever. So responding troopers smelled alcohol on Anaya's breath, and he admitted to drinking wine for 4 hours before the crash. Anaya's gear issued by the Atlanta Police Department and an open Modelo beer was found inside the car. He was taken to the hospital for evaluation. So notice he wasn't arrested right away. He was taken to the hospital for evaluation, of course. Anaya said he was an APD officer Authorities said his eyes were bloodshot and watery, and his speech was slurred. This is later on. He did a lot of drinking. At some point, they tried to issue a field sobriety test that was attempted 4 times, but Anaya failed to follow instructions. The GCSP said a preliminary breath test was administered, and the breath sample returned positive for ethyl alcohol, and the GSP said. And after he consented to the blood test, the trooper returned to his car to retrieve a blood draw kit, but was later told by nursing staff that Anaya left the hospital and went into a wooded area. So basically, he fled the hospital after being taken to the hospital. Wasn't handcuffed to the bed. He basically fled. They had to go get him, of course. But the thing is that this dude, who was obviously under the influence, crashed into a pole. Was once they found out he was a cop, they took him in. They didn't handcuff him, didn't stop him. They left him alone. He could open up his hospital door, put some clothes on, do whatever he did, and just break north until they had to be like, oh shit, we have to go get this dude. He's obviously like trying to get out of here. But that's the good policing in Atlanta. The diligent, respectable, soon to be highly trained at Cop City, if they have their way, officers that we have to deal with.
So was he charged?
Was a fugitive?
Yeah, they had to go get him at that point and charge him. I mean, ultimately, they probably would. I mean, he knew what was coming down the pike. I'm not sure what he thought he was going to be doing by escaping to the woods temporarily, but he just didn't want.
What are the penalties in Georgia for a second DUI offense? Because you said he had already been convicted of DUI before, or this was his second offense, right?
I'm not sure if I read that part correctly.
Promotion and a pay raise. That's the APD response
the new police
to the
chief.
second offense.
The new police chief.
I was waiting for the part where he got shot, so that didn't happen.
No, that part, yeah, exactly.
Disobeying, resisting arrest, fleeing the scene,
not following instructions, escaped,
failure to comply, disorderly conduct.
But again, this is why we need Cop City, Kamau. They need more training. They need space to learn to work all this out. Make them better. Anyway. Speaking of inebriation on the job.
That's what I'm talking about.
There you go. That was all right.
That explains everything, I think.
Y'all need to get on that ZZ Lion Dad train, yo. Let me get on my Kamau dollars and cents thing here. Listen, we need y'all support, y'all. Like ZZ Lion Dad at least supports like every week. And he sees the importance of Black Power Media. So I'd like to give a big shout out to him. Thank you for understanding that what we are doing out here is important and necessary, and we need your support. All right? Anybody else got jokes before Okay, no?
There'll be more. Don't you worry about it. There'll be more.
Okay.
All right, cool. Expect it.
Hey, they all got to run to the bathroom. That's why they quiet. All right, so let's go ahead and take a quick break. Them 50-year-old bladders, boy. All right, here we go. Let's take a break right here. The Remix Morning Show. I just wanted to show y'all Kamau's chair. He's out. Yo, big up, everybody. Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. As you know, we are very appreciative of you coming through. Hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. What we like to do is we like to give artists out here a chance to get their shine on. So I always tell people, if you are upcoming artists and you got something that's pretty dope and you want some shine, send it on to Black Power Media. Matter of fact, send it to mediablackpower@gmail.com. And if not, just send it to Ear Doctor Music. Matter of fact, send it to Ear Doctor Music and I'll put you on. With that said, let's go ahead and get to our, I don't want that up. How do I take that down? All right. Anyway, with that said, let's get to our artist that I want to get some shine to. It goes by the name of J Soul. So J Soul stepping into the microphone. Let's do it like this. You can find her music. She's straight out of the Bronx, lived in California now. You can find her music. This song right here is called Let Go, but you can find her music on Instagram, Spotify, Apple, and SoundCloud. Now let's get it.
They want to know what's happening next. Capcom versus what? Ha! Kick to the chest. Stay obsessing. We the dressing. Burning, they smoking a taste. They need a project, so here's an ace. I call it orange. Fucking orange or all the shallow. Your pipe is hollow. So what you swinging? Hasbro or what you drinking? Westbury or what you thinking? Inquiry. I need your strength to push forward. A little bit of time, ginkgo protection, a little bit of pine. I'm off the incense and held it wrong. I lost the time. Do you have it? I lose perspective. You keep on watching immaculate. We too lit, spiritually divine. Beyond the social constructs, I told you it's for minds. Badass toddler, Barrymore, a social dawdler. You think she's stripping for $1? Always a principle. Limitless.
That's J Soul, y'all. J Soul. Like I said, you can find her on different streams, also on Instagram. That's J.Soul. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and get back to our Remix Morning crew. Y'all know how we do. All right.
Phoenix, feathers are mine. You gossip, you want them? I pluck them out. Tricotillo. Niggas only speaking poems wrapped in cigarillos. Anti this or that, but born in the middle.
Yeah. All right. So, my esteemed crew, before y'all start, let me put a positive spin here. Listen, I like the content. I like what they were saying. And the beat, though, it had this double part in it that messed up my flow. Like it was a I didn't like that part of it, but other than that, it was all right.
Yeah.
Okay, Jay.
I dug it. I have to say, I dug it. I only have sort of like aesthetic criticisms. Like it didn't sound like it was mastered all that well. Like it you know, there was some issues there with the sound quality. I dug her voice though. I really dug their delivery a lot. And it sounded like kind of like abstract rhyming. Like I wasn't able to follow everything that they were saying, but one of my favorite rappers is one of the best abstract rappers of all time, Ghostface Killer. I can't always follow what the fuck Ghostface is talking about, so I can appreciate an abstract. Exactly. I can appreciate an abstract content rapper. I dug it. I'm gonna give it a thumbs up.
Okay. No other thumbs up? Wow, look at Kamau.
I like what Kim had to say. I think my issue was more with the beat. I like Kim's points though about the sound of the voice and appreciating abstract rap. I don't need it to always be logical, but the beat.
I like what I like what Kim said too. That Kim said something, and that Kim was speaking. I like that Kim was speaking, and that words were coming out of Kim's mouth. I like that part about that was my favorite part about voice. Kim's voice sounded really nice. I like it.
Listen, artists, don't let these people discourage you from sending in your material, please. But we are going to keep it 2000 right here on Black Power Media. So appreciate y'all. Continue to do that, and I'll catch y'all next time.
Thank you, Ear Doctor. Well, BPMers, remixers, thank you all so much for being here with us today. Please don't forget to like the video on your way out the door because, you know, YouTube be trying to carry us out here and we need to let them know that the people is fucking with us. So engage the content as much as you can. Like, subscribe, share, comment under the videos, please, and thank you. We got Jackie, Kamau, Jared, Kim here. We have a guest coming up, Jacqueline. Or is that later? Or is that shortly?
No. Right now, we are going to talk about this historic settlement from this class action lawsuit in the city of Philadelphia, stemming from the 2020 uprising. Let's get to it. Peace, everybody. Thanks so much for hanging out with us here in Black Power Media. I am really happy to be joined by Kara McClellan. She is one of the attorneys who handled the class action lawsuit against the city of Philadelphia. And let me share this story with you so you can get a little taste of the context. The city of Philadelphia reaches a record $9.25 million settlement with demonstrators in the summer of 2020 protests. Kara, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me.
Really glad you can join me today to explain to us what this class action lawsuit was, who the people were who were a member of the lawsuit. And I understand that there are some aspects of the settlement that you can't discuss, but as much as you can, tell us who were the members of this class action and what was the settlement that was reached with the city and the attorneys. What was the settlement about?
Sure. So the settlement relates to 4 different cases, actually, and arose out of 2 separate incidents. So first, on the weekend of May 31st, in the aftermath of Mr. George Floyd's killings, as there were protests in Philadelphia, police unleashed excessive force far beyond what occurred in any other part of the city in a predominantly Black neighborhood in Philadelphia. This was in West Philadelphia. And there were protests going on in the neighborhood, but the vast majority of what was going on that day was just a normal day where folks were, because of the pandemic, many people were staying at home and isolating. Some people were in their backyards, gardening, or on their porches. And in response to the aftermath and the unrest that was happening in the city, the police targeted this neighborhood in a way that they did not respond to anywhere else. What happened essentially turned this neighborhood into something resembling a war zone. There were police tanks going up and down residential streets. You have to imagine this is a neighborhood that is predominantly residential. There are row homes, there are smaller streets, and you had tanks just going up and down indiscriminately from the tanks, firing tear gas and firing rubber bullets at people. It sounds shocking, but when you see the video, the images don't lie.
So what you're saying is, to be clear, the police deployed militarized units and attacked people who were not involved in the protests at all. These were just folks in their neighborhood living their life.
Exactly. And obviously, there are constitutional violations when police use this level of force against protesters, as they did on May 31st in West Philadelphia, and also on 676 later on that weekend. They again used this level of force against protesters who were in the center city area of the city. But for police to attack people who were at their homes, minding their own business, really in many cases trying to stay safe and trying to socially isolate because of the pandemic, is really unconscionable. We have clients, for example, one of our clients was at home with her 2 children, both of whom were under 7. And, she was saying to them, we have to stay home, we have to stay safe because there's COVID-19. And as she was at home with her children that day, during the afternoon, one of her kids came running in and saying, Mommy, there's something in my eye. And her younger son, who couldn't really articulate because of his age what was going on, just started crying, and she couldn't figure out what was happening. And so then she felt the tear gas, and she said, I don't know what's going on. Let's get into the bathroom. So she pulled them into the bathroom, tried to start putting water in their eyes. She called 311 to try to figure out what was going on. And that's how she learned that she had actually been tear gassed, that her home had been tear gassed because she was on a block where police were indiscriminately using this tear gas. And it really led our clients to ask the question of, if this were not a predominantly Black and brown neighborhood, would this level of force have been used? And when you look at what occurred throughout the rest of Philadelphia, where there were protests, where there were some reports of looting, this level of force was not used anywhere else. So we're really talking about the targeting of a Black and brown neighborhood that has experienced excessive force by police repeatedly throughout history. This is the same neighborhood where the MOVE bombing occurred. And so our clients really understood what occurred on May 31st as part of a larger pattern of racialized police violence.
So for the settlement, did the class action lawsuit also include police abuse directed at people who were engaged in protests, not only of the public lynching of George Floyd, but also of local police killings of Black people in the city of Philadelphia, which I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, I think the young man's name was Williams, who was also killed by Philadelphia police, and people were protesting for justice for him as well. So does this lawsuit include, the police brutality against people who were actively engaged in protests?
So the settlement is made up of 4 different lawsuits. It includes lawsuits on behalf of people who were protesting on 676, and then it also includes people who were impacted in West Philadelphia, some of whom are protesters. We represent some protesters and organizers, and some of whom, again, were residents who were innocent bystanders in all of this. Across the board, people were peacefully protesting, but there were some people who were just in their homes and weren't even in the streets protesting, who were impacted by all of this as bystanders. So I want to be clear, really the irony in all of this, as you point out, is that folks in the aftermath of the murder of George Floyd were protesting police killings, the murder of George Floyd, and more generally, police use of force and killing of Black people that has occurred throughout our history. And the irony is that they received the very brutality and excessive force that they were protesting against, right? So we had folks who were tear gassed, who were beaten. One of our clients was actually called the N-word as he was hit with rubber bullets. So it was very explicitly racialized violence against protesters who were protesting the violence that had occurred to begin with. And I think you mentioned also that shortly after the lawsuits were filed in July, in October was the killing of Walter Wallace in Philadelphia. Yes. And that again happened in West Philadelphia, right? So we're talking about the same area. And yet again, police used excessive force against protesters in West Philadelphia. So I think, for many of us, this feels like a pattern that is not just a one-off, but is part of a longer history of police again and again using racialized violence against this predominantly Black and brown area. And so for our clients, the solution had to be, not just treating this as a one-off incident, but recognizing and contextualizing what occurred as part of a structural issue, a systemic issue, and not just as an aberration, but as part of how policing occurs in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's not a feature. It's not a bug. It's a feature. Exactly. So I'm wondering if you can, for people who are not familiar with Philadelphia, can you give us a little bit of a historical context of that history of racialized policing in Philadelphia? Because I know the history, but I think a lot of people don't understand. And if they understand the history of racialized policing and really the history of this country, they should guess. But specifically, what are we talking about as far as racialized policing in Philadelphia?
So first, I have to say there's been really meaningful organizing and resistance by Philadelphia residents throughout history, including Philadelphia was one of the first cities to have a civilian review board. But there has also, on the other hand, right, there's progress and retrenchment. There has been repeated attempts by officials within the city to push back against this organizing. So despite the fact that Philadelphia is one of the first places to have a civilian review board, it's also the city where Frank Rizzo, who was first the police commissioner and then mayor of the city, disbanded this commission and really instituted a policy that was explicitly about targeting Black and brown folks. And really emboldened police officers to use force because he authorized it. And so in West Philadelphia, as I mentioned, this force, perhaps most famously, led to a horrific, tragic incident in which police officers actually bombed an entire block of West Philadelphia on Osage Avenue. And the bombing was directed towards an organization called MOVE, which is a Black liberation organization, but it impacted the entire block, and approximately 9 people were killed, including children, as a result of the bombing. This was not the first face-off that had happened with MOVE. Police had forcibly evicted MOVE from another home before then. And so, again, this was part of a pattern that Frank Rizzo gave authorization and really emboldened police to use this level of force. And even before that, I think you have to understand this within the context of other patterns of force used against Black liberation groups. So there was another incident before that in North Philadelphia where police under Rizzo's reign used force against the Black Panthers and actually paraded them down the street, forced them to strip, and using force paraded them down the street. So again, this is part of a history that is known and felt, and that is the context through which we understand excessive force in Philadelphia today.
So the settlement is not just for the $9.25 million. There are other aspects of the settlement. And for me, I think one particular aspect of the settlement is critically important. But what are the other aspects aside from the $9.25 million that are part of the settlement that something that a few things that we talk about quite a bit that are very necessary in that would go toward, let's say, healing the Black community from these historic abuses?
So a unique feature of this settlement is that it, in addition to the $9.25 million in individual damages, it features what's called injunctive relief or policy changes. And that's because that's what was really important to our clients. They wanted to see change happen. They wanted to see some policies adopted to ensure that this didn't happen again and that history doesn't continue to repeat itself. So first, one aspect of the agreement that is unique is that there is $500,000 that will be directed towards a community fund. So rather than just individual damages, we wanted to recognize that police violence, in addition to impacting individuals, actually harms and causes trauma to an entire community when it occurs. And so the $500,000 is going to be administered through an organization called Bread and Roses, and they administer grants through a community-based process. And so plaintiffs in the cases or individuals in West Philadelphia who are impacted can apply to serve on the committee and actually decide where should the money go. They'll lead the administration of the grant. And the grant can be used towards providing mental health and wellness programming, but also more generally towards improving quality of life in the community. So the programming can be broad. And so that's one feature of the agreement that is unique. And we hope that it will set a precedent so that in the future, when there are police excessive force cases, that this will set a precedent for we should not just compensate individuals, which is critical and important, but also think about the harm on a community overall. There's 2 other features of the agreement that are unique and that I want to emphasize. The second aspect of the injunctive relief is that the city has committed to end the 1033 program. And that is a program through which local police forces can receive military-style equipment from the federal government. And so the city has said that it's given back that equipment and that it will not engage in the 1033 program, that it's ended that relationship. That's important because when we think about what happened on May 31st, you might ask yourself, what are police doing with tanks? What are they doing with tear gas, these type of warfare type of equipment, which you really wouldn't imagine any need for in a neighborhood. And there should be no place for tear gas, which is a war, a chemical used at war, or rubber bullets, or this type of warfare against residents makes no sense. And so, our clients felt that there should be no place for police having this level of military style equipment. And so the 1033 program being ended is an important aspect of the agreement. And then lastly, our clients want more transparency and accountability from the police. And so we reached an agreement where the city will twice a year hold meetings within West Philadelphia, where they will report on the public, and importantly, where residents of West Philadelphia will have the opportunity to ask questions and give feedback directly to the police commissioner, the deputy commissioner, who will be leading those meetings.
I think those last two aspects of the settlement are of critical importance, because not to say that the cash settlement is not, that absolutely is and absolutely necessary, but ending the 1033 program that provides for local, state, and even college campus and sometimes high school student resource officers offices to receive weaponry material from the Department of Defense that are used in war. And as a matter of fact, tear gas is illegal to be used in war. You can't even use tear gas in a literal combat operation, but the police can get tear gas from the Department of Defense and deploy them against citizens. Philadelphia demanding, or the city of Philadelphia agreeing through this lawsuit to end the 1033 program with their police department in Philadelphia is a critical moment, I think, in organizing history right now, because it was out of the George Floyd uprising that the attention was focused on the 1033 program. I think that's how most people became aware of the 1033 program. So this, as an organizer, I'm taking this not only as a win for the people of Philadelphia, but it also needs to be a point of organization for us to move forward around the country, to focus on and step up our efforts to end local and state police departments and other police departments that do participate in the 1033 program in Philadelphia has shown us that we can win. We absolutely can win this fight. So, Kara McClellan, thank you so very much for giving us the details about this very important settlement that has happened with the city of Philadelphia. We'll look for more updates. I understand that there is more legal action being considered, because we understand that one particular organizer is still under house arrest for his participating in these protests. So there's still more litigation, still more court cases, still more justice to be had. But we appreciate you coming on today and giving us the details about this really, really important win for the people of Philadelphia. We appreciate you.
Thanks so much for having me, and thank you to the organizers who really led to this win.
Absolutely. So just want to say real quick, Ant Smith is still under house arrest. Yeah, house arrest in Philadelphia. He is one of the main organizers in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia PD are still targeting him. His is one of the cases that is still pending. So please continue to support Ant in his case. But I thought it was really, really important that we highlight that the people of Philadelphia, the organizers in Philadelphia, got the police to end the 1033 program. So it can be done.
And
No,
that's what
right
I
on.
really
Shout out to
appreciate
them.
that. Yeah. No, I mean, in hearing that, Jackie, I think sort of crystallizes what a lot of people's criticisms of people like Ben Crump do, right? Because he gets the settlements, he gets the judgments for the families, but what happens policy wise? You know what I mean? Like the status quo keeps status quoing even after some of these victims' families receive these big settlements, but nothing changes policy wise as the way that the police still engage with the community. So I appreciate these organizers in Philadelphia, in addition to the monetary settlement, getting some policy victories, some changes there.
Yeah, that was really, really exciting. And you know, when I saw the story, I thought, okay, well that's cool. And then I got to the part in the article, and it was really way down in the article where they talked about ending the 1033 program. It's like, yo, that's the most important part. That is, that is the most important part. And it is very important in the organizing that we're doing. I mean, everything is all coalescing to uh, us really being able to seize the moment and focus on these issues, connect these issues. Of course, this is connected to Cop City. Of course, this is connected to every story we talk about of police abuse and police murdering our people. But this is also connected to organizing that is ramping up at Howard University, Morgan State, at other HBCUs that are gearing up to oppose this Pentagon program that they are trying to launch. This research grant, this UARC grant, it's connected to that. So we really need to look at this victory in Philadelphia as exactly that, as not just a victory in the monetary settlement, but we need to look at it as a way to end the 1033 program in our individual cities, as a way to attack the system that way. It's not the revolution, but it's absolutely a victory in the battle.
Jackie, do you want to quickly tell people what the 1033 program is? I think there's some folks in the chat who may not know.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that. The 1033 program is the official program sanctioned by the U.S. government and the Pentagon, where the Pentagon either sells or gives away for free its surplus military equipment, like literal tanks, weapons, tear gas, night vision material like goggles and all the stuff that they have on hand that is battlefield equipment that they use in war. They give it away, or they sell it for very, very cheap to federal, state, local, sometimes college campus. And there are a few cases of even school resource, like high school offices, for them to use. So the pictures we saw from Ferguson, of the Ferguson PD with a militarized tank. That tank came from the Department of Defense. That was a part of the 1033 program. Wherever you are in this country, if you see a militarized looking vehicle from your police department, their night vision, if your SWAT, your city's police department has like a SWAT team, most of their militarized equipment comes from the excess equipment that the Department of Defense has that has literally been used in war. So that's what the 1033 program is. The thing about this that we have to keep an eye on, Philadelphia has agreed to end their participation in the 1033 program. That does not mean that they're not going to try to find a way to continue to get that equipment under the name of something else. So we have to keep an eye on that. But that in a nutshell is what the 1033 program is. Every single law enforcement agency does not participate in the program. The interesting thing is it's very difficult to find out which ones definitely do, because there is no reporting requirement for any police department to tell the public. that they do participate in the program.
I remember there was a shooting event at Columbia Mall. This was maybe a few to several years ago, and the news was covering it live. And I saw Howard County Police roll out a tank. I said, "What the fuck is Howard County? Howard County Police have an armored tank that they have at their disposal. I guess they can deploy at any time." Just to give you an idea of the size of some of these police departments with some of this military equipment, it's ridiculous. It doesn't even make any sense. But yes, all these tanks and MRAPs and all this shit is everywhere in the hands of police departments.
And just to add to one little bit about that, our family, actually, my wife and children were at the mall that day. And just very quickly, to your point though, because it's as scary as it was, there's a number of parallel things here. One, it's in Columbia, Maryland. One of the top 5 places to live, blah, 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 affluent, comfortable, blah, 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 suburb. But it was, if I remember correctly, the story was a boy got mad at his girlfriend and went in there and shot her in the store, right? Or it was something like that. But to your point, all of that military technology was brought to bear on the situation right here in Columbia, Maryland. So whether it's male violence, whether it's teen angst being fueled by weaponry, whether it's, and then of course, militarization, all of it. That's why I keep saying Columbia is a perfect microcosm of the madness. But even here, they like you said, they roll out with tanks and all kinds of whatever. And it's like, come on, man. And no disrespect to the victims, but it's one person with a shotgun. And as bad as that is, it doesn't require the whole U.S. military. And it wasn't some assault on the state. It wasn't like this was some armed insurrection effort that they would have to say, oh, well, we need to be ready because no, it was young people having access to guns and adding to all the whatever. But anyway, just wanted to add that little bit in there.
They're frequently looking for ways to display to display the equipment, to show that they have it, to justify having it. And just to let you know, like, hey, we got all this stuff ready to roll out. Like, it doesn't, the incidents, half the time it doesn't matter, right? If there's an opportunity for them to call out and use it and show it, it's just one of those things. It's like, yo, look what we got. Look at this toy we got that we want to roll out here, and please let us use it. Please, it's like let us test this out on somebody. Kind of thing. So it's like that whole thing is like, it's not about community policing. It's not about getting to know your neighbors. It's not about figuring out alternative ways to settle disputes or issues, or like you said, getting the guns off, making access to the weaponry harder and all that kind of stuff. It's all about militarized force and police power, and having an overwhelming ownership of that kind of violence in a country where that kind of violence is just a day-to-day casual way in which we go about living in this society, and it's all about who has the bigger gun basically at this stage.
Oh man, but does it even matter who has the bigger gun? I did a story last night about the Uvalde shooting at Robb Elementary. The Texas Tribune did an in-depth report where they sourced all these emergency communications and interviews with the police the day of and afterwards. And basically the reason that the police gave for not going into the classroom and disarming or neutralizing the shooter who killed 19 children is that the police were afraid of the AR-15. They had 400 guns on the scene. They had officers there on the scene also armed with AR-15s, but they decided to wait until the Border Patrol SWAT team arrived, and they were 60 miles away. So they waited over an hour because they were afraid of the weaponry possessed by this one individual, this 18-year-old. It's 400 fucking cops outside. It doesn't even matter how much weaponry they have. Like,
they still punks.
They still punks at the end of the day, right? Exactly. Precisely.
Wow. That's crazy. One AR-15 got a whole mini army shook.
I remember in New York, like when there was squatters in the Lower East Side, how they rolled out tanks to clear buildings of squatters and stuff like that. And it reminded me, when I went to Palestine, how like this the constant war zone that folks are in terms of their day-to-day lives, right? And how at one moment folks were talking about an Israeli bomb dropping, or and they were like, oh, this building got bombed last week, and somebody else stopped them and was like, no, it wasn't that. That was like 3 raids ago. That wasn't from last week. This one over there is the one from last week. But I mean, and you would wake up in the night because folks would have because the tanks would roll through. And that's the type of, those military equipment, which actually probably comes from the United States that they're using. Again, it's the same military equipment they're pouring into localities just so that they can have them, just so they can say that they got them, just so they can take pictures in front of them. And at times, just so they can roll them out and show you a massive display of force, which, again, like you said, it's not meant necessarily to stop quote unquote crime. Usually it's done to intimidate people who go against the state in some way. But again, a lot of times they'll just show it to show that they have it, which they think makes them bullies of the block. So,
well, your doctor said we got to go. So
no. He's not even going to pop on and say goodbye or nothing.
No, he just put it in the chat and said we got to go. And nothing torrid happened with Jackie, everybody. She just had to run. So she just dipped out. She just dropped the story and dipped. But so she's all right doing the people's work. Shout out to everybody. Thanks again for tuning in to the Remix Morning Show. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, share this throughout your networks. Help this channel that you all have come to know and love blow up even more. And shout out to our YouTube overlords. Thank you for letting us exist another day.
BPM has gotten 11,000 followers on Twitter. So thank you all for following BPM on Twitter. We appreciate it.
That's what's up. Peace, everybody. Catch you tomorrow.